that's behind you. As long as we don't forget that that's what made us who we are today. You all know what it is. I had to dead all the using to get ahead of the losing. Why should I dread it if I can get it with music? Why should I dread it if I can get it with music? I never thought that life would change for me until he came for me. Ashamed to be the man that I was. That shit ain't for me. Drug my fam through the mud, aimlessly riding dirty like I ran through the mud. I used to claim to be a thug unlike the man that I was. I wasn't man enough to fight and put my hands in the gloves. It was the same for me with drugs. I couldn't handle the buzz. I was afraid to be beloved. I couldn't handle the hugs. But now my life has changed for good. I gave it all I gotta. Thinking to break it all harder and for the sake of lava. John, I never thought I'd make it. Now I say we gotta. Just had to make a little change and had to break a dollar.
Thank you for coming out and joining me in this special edition broadcast. We're going to be talking about addictions. We're going to be talking about fentanyl, xylazine, and we're going to be addressing Narcan. Okay, guys. But we're also, we're streaming, man. We're streaming. We're going to be streaming for a couple days in a row here because we have a lot of topics to cover. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm very concerned and very scared about. I don't know. I just don't know if we have a full picture of what's going on. So we're gonna stream this special segment about fentanyl, xylazine, and Narcan, and then we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna stream about weather modifications and the dangers that are being imposed upon humanity as a result of that, and the upcoming forecast. And then we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the fake news. And then we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to put these pieces of this major, huge puzzle about September 23rd and all the days leading up to it together for you guys. There's going to be a little name game in here, okay? And it's going to be something that you really are going to want to be paying attention to. And I want to thank you for, I want to thank you for coming out and tuning in to something a little alternative, a little different, a little less mainstream. I want to thank you. Whichever platform you found this content at, please like, subscribe, comment. I'm looking at the comments. This is a live broadcast. Some of it is pre-recorded, but I'm here in the chats and I'm here on the microphone and I'm here in the video, okay? So I'm available to you guys, and I want to really make sure that we hammer home any issues, concerns, answer any questions. If anybody has any comments or snide remarks, we're open and willing for all that. I don't have any comment blockers on, so I'm expecting trolls. I'm expecting everything to come through. So come on in, guys, and join us in our attempt to heal, in our attempt to educate, in our attempt to move through as we recover from the state of humanity today. You ready?
If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrariwise, what it is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would. You see? Everything would be what it isn't. What it is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would. You see? If I had a world of my own...
Welcome to New News Now with your host, the Revelator. I want to welcome you to this special broadcast that's going to be going on until the end of humanity, which might be right around the corner. I mean, when else do you remember them just allowing people to go in and just take whatever they want from the stores? I mean, the world must be ending if they're just letting people take over expensive condominiums in all the major safe haven cities in America. Yeah, and they're going to be giving them all badges soon, too. It's crazy. Oh, God. I just want to warn you guys, this content is not for people that aren't informed. You have to know something when you got here. But if you don't know anything, that's okay, too, because I aim to please. So, you know, I died twice because of fentanyl overdose. I had two, not one, count them, two near-death experiences. 2 near-death experiences. How many have you had? I can't even believe I'm still alive. This is amazing. And I get to come in here and share my story with you all. This is gonna be fun. Let's start with that beautiful young man that opened up this special broadcast. His name is Jeremy Kyle. Jeremy is in recovery, and he uses his creative talent with music, and he brings enlightenment and healing and coping skills to others. Yes, he does. But he also created this cool group in Facebook where it allows people to vent and be entertained.
Not all there.
So the purpose of this group is to provide a safe, judgment-free zone for addicts and alcoholics who struggle with mental health issues and the families affected by these disorders. And there's many of them. To be able to express themselves, ask questions, and receive support. Yeah, it's a nice little close-knit private network of people that are interested in helping one another. Imagine that. that actually exists today somewhere. You wouldn't get it at a rehab or a psychiatric hospital. Trust me, I know. I've worked at them. I've never seen so many crazy people in one spot at the psychiatric hospital. There were so many crazy people, and I couldn't believe that they were paying them to help people. It was an amazing experience. It was so cool. Well, it says, he's got this thing, and it's cool, guys. You got to go check it out, man. Changing lives by creating vibes. And there's people posting. It's great stuff. Get involved. Help others. Whatever situation that you've been through, you can do it, guys. I believe in you.
God, I understand there's a lot of things that need to change in my life right now. So I figured I'd turn to you for some guidance. Teach me how to live my life, you know what I'm saying? Listen up. Please tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with grief. Teach me how to live my life without being a thief. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with pain. Teach me how to live my life without knowing to blame. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with grief. Teach me how to live my life without being a thief. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with pain. And teach me how to live my life without knowing to blame. You taught me something about myself that I never knew. Self-acceptance, a new perception, a better view. A new direction, a new dimension I went into, where true reflection saw true redemption, a better you. It's true at first I resented you, God, for taking John. Assumed the worst, your intention, it was to break a bond. But through the word and your friendship, I learned to pray to God. And if not for your intervention, would I learn a way to stop? I got retention for pain that I seem to bottle up. Gotta love, I mention your name, I don't pick the bottle up. It's that food for the soul that I'm quick to gobble up. When riled up, I'm losing control, I just pick the Bible up. It's not enough to keep going using my own will. When I gave up using, gave you control of the whole will. When I'm making music, I'm rolling with how my soul feel. Moving the same mountains I used to make out of a molehill. Please tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with grief. Teach me how to live my life without being a thief. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with pain. And teach me how to live my life without knowing to blame. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with grief. Teach me how to live my life without being a thief. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with pain. And teach me how to live my life without knowing to blame. I like the way you send me signs when I'm acting malicious. You heard me out the many times that I've asked for forgiveness. And I can always call on you without having your digits. And actually just talk to you without acting religious. The path to riches ain't the reason I'm rapping, but this is to have a passion you believe in and having commitments. I'm on my knees kneeling as if I snapped a meniscus, and taking ashes and rebuilding them back into bridges. A crash collision is like defining addiction. Like a mathematician's like multiplying division. And a bad decision's like why we dying in prison. Without divine intervention, we stay confined in the system. I try to listen to the word when it's spoken and given. Through a sermon, I'm determined to go up to heaven. I've learned a nice beat, how quick I can turn to a legend. I learned when life's sweet, how quick I can turn to a lemon. I threw the dice to see a 6 and got burned with a 7. I seen a fight and how a fist can get turned to a weapon. He taught me how to see the light when I turned to confession. He taught me how to seek advice from the perfect connection. Teach me how to live my life, how to be independent. Teach me how to make amends when I see a resentment. Teach me how to make a friend when it be an investment. And let me let you run the show and I'll be the contestant. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with grief. Teach me how to live my life without being a thief. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with pain. And teach me how to live my life without no one to blame. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with grief. Teach me how to live my life without being a thief. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with pain. And teach me how to live my life without no one to blame. Yeah, I feel blessed, Lord. Keep doing what you're doing in my life, and I'ma keep moving forward every day. Big shout out to my man, Beanie, Rouge Music UK. And my brother John, rest in peace, I love you, bro. Yeah.
Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with grief. Teach me how to live my life without being a thief. Tell me how to live my life while I'm dealing with pain. And teach me how to live my life without no one to blame. No one to blame. No one to blame. Teach me how to live my life without being a thief. How to live my life without no one to blame.
So I want to encourage you guys to get on over there to Spotify and find his work. I want to apologize for Miss Athena. She's not feeling well. She won't be broadcasting with us. As you see, she's wearing that flag around her neck. She picks her own handkerchiefs to wear, and she's still a statist. She thinks that, we might be able to elect somebody or something might be able to happen in that area. It's all she knows. And then she, she's not real comfortable unless she has her blankie. That's her blankie. Yeah, thanks guys. I appreciate the support. Okay, so I think we had the one track playing over top of that track, but you guys get the idea, man. So, this is designed for you guys to oh man. Bear with me, guys. I'm working on setting some streams up, getting them straightened out. We had some technical difficulties right there. They're trying to stop me. Yeah, man, that's hilarious. All right, so let's get on in here, man. Let's get over here to this right here. Let's go with, no, that's not the right one. Hold on, guys. Hey, there it is. All right, so there's a lot of content out there, and I just want to talk about a little bit of it, okay? There's some people that are literally just capitalizing on the downfall of others, okay? And you see that going on in a lot of these type of videos, right? But there's some people who are doing this and they're trying to educate others, right? And then there's some people that are doing it, and look, Carmelite Church, how about that? Then there's some people that are doing it, and there's loved ones that are looking for people. Like there's family members, friends, ex-coworkers, ex-people from my housing that I was running that are wandering around in these streets. And I try to get in there where I can fit in there to see what's going on with them. There's a couple good ones where they actually take the time to interview the person and like find out more about them, okay? You'll see that going on in a few of them, right? But it's not just Kensington, guys. It's going on everywhere. Like literally everywhere. So let me get over here and we're going to do this. We're going to go right on in here, guys. You ready? Let me see here. Hold on. Make sure I got this set up right. Boom. There we go. Okay. So I want it to be nice and big so you guys can see.
Zero for tranquilizer with more than a quarter of overdose deaths linked to the animal tranquilizer, Xylazine. This was in 2020, but it's still going on today. It's often laced with fentanyl and other drugs, and now the White House down in D.C. is classifying it as an emerging threat and calling us ground zero. So we're
the nerve of the White House to call us ground zero when they can't even keep drugs out of their bathrooms and all their rooms in their White House. It's a crack house over there. They got so much drugs. Like, you're gonna tell me the Secret Service couldn't figure out whose bag it was? I don't think that the White House is anybody that I want to be listening to when it comes to drug use and recovery from drug addiction. It just doesn't sound like it's a good idea, guys. But let's tune in some more here.
Rosalind Pichardo, founder of Operation Save Our City, to find out what this means and how dangerous trank can be.
What is trank?
So trank is a animal tranquilizer. So a lot of it is in most of the supply that we see now on the streets.
And why is it? Does it help so they can put more out on the streets, or why?
Wait till you hear this, guys. It's just amazing information.
Why would they be putting trank in the drugs?
So it intensifies the high, but also it's really easy to get
Would they mix it with what? Heroin?
with fentanyl.
With fentanyl?
Right now it's fentanyl. There's not much heroin anywhere, really. So fentanyl is it.
But this is killing people.
It's killing people, but also it's causing more infection than anything. More wounds, more amputation across the city.
Amputations.
Yeah, describe what it does if you take trank.
So trank is it dilates the veins, so it causes infection if you constantly injecting, and then the wounds are horrific. Which
Wow. Who would come up with a drug that was that evil? Huh? Kind of makes you wonder. Like, what are they really doing when it comes to drug manufacturing companies? Why would they give something like that to animals? I don't even understand it.
sometimes leads again to infection, then leads to amputation.
But why would you? Is the high that great?
Well, right now the supply is so tainted, so it's just like when it was heroin, they put fentanyl. So now there's no heroin, so now it's fentanyl and xylazine. So the supply changes all the time.
And they may not be knowing what they're
They may
getting,
not be knowing. No one, I don't think anybody wants to inject trank, but I think because
She don't know what she's talking about. These people are walking around specifically seeking out trank. Yeah, if it don't have trank in it, it ain't no good, dude. Don't you know? Like this lady, you could tell that she's appointed from one of those 5-year welfare plans in the city of Philadelphia and was appointed to her position. I've dealt with many like her kind before, and it has nothing to do with her ethnicity or her race or her religious beliefs or even her own opinions. What it has to do with is her lack of experience. And we're going to talk about that right now because she doesn't know shit from Shinola.
it's tainted, all the supply is tainted. They don't really have.
Okay, how could you figure out if you're about to inject trank?
So we do
This
have
kit?
xylazine test strips, which is easy to.
Wow. How about that? They can't solve the problem, but they know they can test for it. So now, I don't know if you ever shot up heroin or fentanyl or xylazine before, ladies and gentlemen, but I'll tell you this much. You aren't shooting up, you ain't testing nothing. You're going to stick your finger in the bag and go, that's the one. Especially if you see your friend laid out next to you. Yeah, you chase those bags. They're the bags you want. Don't let these people fool you with this nonsense. But these test strips, man, who's making all that money? And is it a good idea to stick this foreign substance into your cap before you shoot drugs? I don't know. It might not be good.
Test the drug. So it's really simple. All you do is
That little thing came out.
Yeah, so she, you could tell, like I said, she doesn't have any knowledge or firsthand experience herself or even in the field itself. And the reason I know that is because you see this cap right here that she's getting ready to squirt this plastic vial of water into? They actually give them out for free in the city of Philadelphia. And I'm sure many other places around the planet. They give this out for free. It's a cap, and you get this little device here that has water in it, okay? And then you can get bottled waters, and you can get fresh needles. And then you know what they do with the needles? They sell them out in the street because they're worth money to people that do care about whether they're using dirty needles or not. But at this point, I don't even think it matters anymore.
Out of that packet.
so no. This is just water.
Oh, this
so
is
what
water.
you do is you just add the water to whatever, like a cap or whatever, and then you use the drug itself, and then you dip the.
You would put the trank in there?
Yes, you would dip it in there, and then you would put the test strip, and within 5 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like you might be wasting some. We wouldn't want to do that.
You'll get a positive or a negative result.
What would it turn color or
It would have 2 lines on the top
it's
here,
like a COVID test?
just like a COVID test. Yeah. So
Just like a COVID test. Kind of makes you wonder. They didn't even have these test strips a couple months ago. All of a sudden, they're everywhere. Everybody's got them. It's like the COVID test, the PCR test for COVID.
it would tell you here is also some instructions.
It'd tell you not to use it.
Yeah, but the thing is like everything has trank, and that's unfortunate. Just like
God.
yeah, it's causing havoc in our city,
Why
throughout the
here?
country. Well,
Why are we supposed to be ground zero?
I'm not sure why here. I think
You're not sure? Are you sure that you're not sure? Have you seen any of those videos I was just referencing prior to this broadcast here with her? Have you seen any of those downtown areas in anywhere in the United States of America right now? They're just out in the streets doing drugs like it's legal. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. You would think that the world was ending. The cops are just letting people do it. Oh, God, their plans. Their smart cities will straighten all this out, I'm sure.
Philly has been known like the epicenter of drug use, I guess. And that's unfortunate because it happens all over the country. But working with
The most common sound in the inner city areas in the United States of America and some parts of Canada right now is that ambulance that you see right there. That's the most common sound that you're going to hear. See 75? 75 is downtown Philadelphia. They've actually responded to a couple of my calls when I worked inside of rehabs and psychiatric hospitals. Amazing, guys, that they would show that. But did you see all the litter? Let me go back here and just back this up just a little bit. Okay, you see that right there? That's a used needle piece right there. The whole entire neighborhood is littered with needles like that. But now I can tell you that there's people that go down there to clean these up. Most of them are recovering addicts. Yeah, they're part of the solution. Yeah, we're going to talk about them soon.
been known like the epicenter of drug use, I guess. And that's unfortunate because
You guess.
it happens all over the country. But working with agencies like the DEA and outreach workers allows.
That's the wound. That's the wound right there. It's healed. This person, they must have gotten clean, or they must have gone to a hospital and gotten clean, because this wound is nicely healed. I've seen terrible, terrible infestations and wounds that were outrageous, guys. Outrageous.
Us to really trust each other and relay the information of what's happening and what Xylazine is doing.
And with those strips, are they easy to get? Where can folks get those?
So these, for me, was a little hard to get, but soon, maybe in a week or so.
I wonder who's making all that
You
money.
see that Narcan there? That doesn't work on Trank, does it?
It doesn't.
Get rid of that.
It does not work on Trank. However, most people who are overdosing is because of the opiate, so you still need it, although they're doing Trank. So
Okay.
this would combat the symptoms of overdoses,
Narcan.
but not
Yeah,
Trank.
we're going to stop right here because we need to talk about Narcan for 1 minute, okay? Now, this is the situation, guys, and I want you guys to really, really, really pay attention here, okay? Anytime you see this amount of pushing of anything through this box that you're watching me on, be very, very cautious.
There are 3 things I want to go over with you. Some vital statistics on opioids that demonstrate why this is such a critical issue, how to recognize and
I think we
respond
know
to
that part.
opioid overdoses with 5,906. And
They
just
give
know that
these
all these
out
numbers
everywhere.
are a snapshot in time. And Sacramento County, just this year so far, has lost 115 due to fentanyl and 700.
At the height of the pandemic, we lost almost 300 people in the city of Philadelphia. You heard ambulances going all day long, picking up people that were overdosing. It was horrific. Nobody was stepping in or intervening and trying to stop it.
And 14 since 2018. I just want to share with you a wonderful resource. It's the
So now she's going to show you how you use it.
Can be pretty panicky.
Pay
And so you know
attention,
that on the
kids.
front flap of each box there are instructions. Really simply put, 1, 2, and 3. And so the first
might
step
have to
here
do this
is
for
gonna
someone
be
you know.
seeing if this person is responsive. And a telltale sign of an opioid overdose is suffocation and unresponsiveness. And so we're looking for labored breathing, pale, ashen skin. There's not enough oxygen getting to the blood. And so their lips and their fingernails could be turning blue. And also,
Basically, they overdosed.
so if you see that they have pinpoint pupils when you open up their eye. Seeing if someone is responsive enough, it's really easy to do the sternum knuckle rub. So where you rub your knuckles on their sternum to stimulate.
You have to do that hard, too. It usually works. It brings people right out of it. And then you don't even have to use this crummy drug.
Them, or you can yell their name and they're not responding to you. This is a good time to administer the Narcan. And once you determine they're unresponsive, you'll go to the package, open up the Narcan, take the nasal spray. You can hold it in your hand like this, and you press the button all the way down, putting the applicator into either one of their nostrils.
So easy. Even a child could use it. But we're going to break this down some more.
It doesn't matter, whatever your preference is. Don't feel like you have to jam this all the way up their nose. It can only fit halfway up several people. You really just want to get the tip in there to be able to spray the naloxone.
So let's just keep going, guys.
Today marks
Look at the
International
common
Opioid
theme
Awareness
here.
Day. It is the world's largest annual campaign to end overdose deaths. Today, a campaign comes as the overdose reversal drug Narcan will soon be sold over the counter.
The FDA.
Well,
Yeah, it's not
yesterday was
free
Overdose
anymore. They're
Awareness
just
Day.
selling
Today,
it.
We are looking at the medication you can now get over the counter that could save.
Over the
Pharmacies are preparing to make naloxone more accessible. That's a drug commonly used to reverse overdoses.
They want everybody to have it. We're going to talk about it more in detail in a few minutes.
What do we need? Now, with America's favorite doctor, Dr. Jen, there's some medical news that we need to talk about. Narcan
All right, so you
is
get
going to
it,
be in
right?
stores
You
next
get
week.
it? Well, let me tell you
Over
something.
the counter without a prescription, the brand name, the generic.
Let me tell you something. Where I lived outside of the city of Philadelphia, where I lived outside of Philadelphia, there was this area called Upper Darby, and this guy named Chitwood ran it. And guess what he did? He gave permission to his officers to administer this to anybody without their permission. Yeah, it's groundbreaking. No other time in the history of humanity has we been forced to take something against our own free will. Yeah, imagine that. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't want to save somebody's life, but you know, Narcan wasn't always an option. There was other ways. And the reason why I speak so highly against it is because I've worked in the field. Yeah, I've worked in the field. And I know that you don't have to use Narcan. Let me get my wallet out and show you what you actually should use. Okay, hold on. We're going to switch up cameras here so we can talk about it because it's very important. Yeah, so I hope you guys are having fun with this because I'm having a little bit of fun. I'm trying to keep light on the subject, but I am in recovery, guys. This was me. I'm talking about me when I'm talking about this stuff. And I'm talking about Narcan because specifically Narcan, when it was administered to me, when I did not have drugs in my system, okay, what it did to me is I had an allergic reaction to it. And I had neurological damage that lasted for 6 months. 6 months of neurological damage as a result of being Narcaned against my will. Okay? Now, like I said, I've worked in the field, guys. The sternum rub is always a good solution. If you know for a fact that the person's never had any adverse reactions to this, then this could be an option. But always exhaust all the normal options first. I always do. Okay? So you have the sternum rub, and then you have this device here. This is a facial guard so that I can administer CPR to somebody without having to exchange bodily fluids. That's for their protection and mine, right? Guys, something's not right with this. I had bad results utilizing this, okay? And I'm putting the warning out there now. Anything that's this readily available, just like those test strips, anything that's this readily available, and now they're making people pay for it, right? Anything that's this readily available should be really scrutinized and looked into, especially considering the fact that police officers, fire, paramedics, EMS, your average Joe on the street, other addicts have the right and ability to just go up to you and administer this to you without your consent, without having any knowledge of your medical history, any knowledge of any possible allergic reactions you may have. And it's not any more effective than sternum rubs and breathing for the person. Okay, I did have to use Narcan on one person out of about 7 revivals. Okay, and the only reason I utilized it on them is because it was the safest option for all involved. Considering the location, we were in the heart of Kensington, and I had a lot of people around me, and I was responsible for a lot of people's safety. And when this occurred, I sprung into action mode, where I was interested in just helping that person no matter what. I tried the simple things immediately. I didn't reach for my breathing plastic barrier, my breathing barrier, because if I would have done all that, then other people would have gotten involved, and I didn't want to draw attention to the situation. So I myself am guilty of utilizing it on people against their will, and I regret it. I wish I could go back and do it differently. But I've also revived people without it many times. So, you know, with that being said, I hope you guys get something out of this episode. Okay, we do have the city of Upper Darby. Like I said, they were the ones that initially in the entire United States of America, they were the first ones to administer it to people without their consent or will, which is like a really big deal, guys. A lot of people aren't in the know when it comes to these sorts of things, and they need to be. So we're going to talk about 2 organizations that I participated with when I was in Philadelphia helping people that I know that boots on the ground, they're down there handling their business, helping people, like ridiculously trying to help people, okay? All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is Angels in Motion, okay? We're going to go big with it. Let me see here. Angels in Motion, okay? They are an organization that sets up in many different places throughout the tri-state area and other areas, okay? They're not just limited to the city of Philadelphia, okay? And they have all these different fundraising techniques and educational seminars, and they are out on the streets handing out clothes and food and assisting people with rides to rehabs and shelters and all different kinds of great stuff, okay? So that's what they do, okay? In fact, you know what? They have a clip. Let's put it up here real quick. Hold on. Angels in Motion, because this is important, guys. What do we got here? Let's get rid of that. Boom, boom. Yeah, so this is like a little documentary. We'll give this a minute here. I'm not going to play too much of it, though. Let me see here. Let's go right into it. What I really like is how they keep the dignity of the addicts. They don't broadcast
My garage is
them
all
when they're
filled
at
with
their
bags
lowest.
like this. Yeah, this is all donations from people all over.
And you guys can donate either money or time
Be
or
on size 10
products,
for lady.
cosmetics like toiletries. They need everything, guys. And they're not the only organization. We're going to talk about another one. And then there's also, if you guys are watching this and you're from different areas, please put in the comments any local organizations that you guys might know of.
You know, this is part of life now, unfortunately. It's not here in Roanhurst. It's not in Somerton. It's like these apartments right here. I don't know about now, but I know they were dealing heroin out of them. That's right around the corner from my house.
Fact. Beautiful group of people, guys. They even paid some of the rent for one or two of the people that were involved with my house. Amazing.
Bad snowstorms. Been down here in the rain. Yeah, they're out. They're about. They don't want to be sick. They're going to use. So, you know, if you can give them something dry to put on and warm shoes and socks in this kind of weather when it's bad, it helps them out. They're asking how many people I think are in Kensington, like homeless and addicted and having problems, and I said there's thousands. You know, in the beginning I thought it was hundreds. I said, but every time I go, I might run into like 10 to 15 of the same people, but I always take anywhere from 40 to 60 bags with me. I come back with no bags.
See how they keep the dignity.
The dealers aren't on the avenue, which that's why I tell everybody, like, stay here. It's safe. You know, you start going back. Some of the dealers look like they're homeless, and they do that on purpose. You know, then the cops won't bother them. Nice to meet you. How are you?
I guess, yeah. Did I meet you?
Like that, okay?
Takes donations in any kind of way, even your time. You go down there on Thursdays and you help give out the stuff. She's had different types of, you know, like, not contests, but, you know, different types of benefactoring situations where the children that have parents that were involved with drug use, okay, receive special days and trips in limos and trips to the ballpark and all kinds of other stuff, man. What a fine young lady. What a fine organization. You guys, if you're going to donate to anybody, please try to donate to her. Look, see, this is her Cash App right here. If you guys, like, take my word for it. I don't lie, guys. I don't lie. Okay, I was down there in the trenches with this organization, and she had people that were in recovery. She allowed us to be involved. She had other people that were in recovery, early recovery. She was involved with recovery houses, and she works in the field now. And I don't want to get into all that, but she's a great person, and this organization is amazing, guys. Please get involved. Okay, get involved somewhere, somehow in your region, in your neighborhood, wherever you're hearing this at. There's people that need your assistance, and the networks and the connections that you can make are amazing. Unreal, just totally unreal. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in for this episode. We went a little long with it, and that's okay. You know, like, it's all right to go a little long sometimes. You know, like, some situations call for that. You know, I tried to make a little fun of this. you know, but it's not really a laughing matter. If you haven't tried these drugs, do not try these drugs. If you have a friend or a family member or someone that you know that's involved with these type of situations, you know, take the time to be supportive to them. Find out how you can assist them and help them by educating yourself about the drugs and the recovery processes that are going to be needed for that person. It's going to take all of us, guys, to do that. It's going to take all of us. These communities are just primed for the smart city takeover, and these people are dying left and right. They're being amputated left and right, and the cops are literally just standing around watching. They're literally just standing around watching. I want to thank everyone that was involved with my recovery housing and the recovery movement that I was involved with up north. All the people that I've worked with, that although they worked within the system, and, you know, it was a struggle to do so, they did so. And they did so because they wanted to help other people, man. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. It's my city, man. It's my background. It's my heritage. It's where I come from, you know, and a lot of my people are out there right now and they're not in a good way. And any support that you guys can give to these organizations or educating yourself and supporting people that are in the recovery process would be fantastic. Thanks for letting me share, guys.
Where a high-profile Narcan save put the issue front and center.
When Upper Darby police officer Matt Lynch reports for duty, he straps on his gear. Sidearm? Check. Radio? Check. Baton, handcuffs, extra ammo clips? All there. Then Lynch heads to the rack of patrol car keys to retrieve what's become one of the most important tools he'll carry. The little red boxes hold Narcan kits, the no assembly required nasal spray antidote that can bring a heroin overdose victim virtually back from the dead. Lynch remembers his first exposure to the new kits.
Carried this red box with me everywhere, and it was like, well, when am I ever going to use this? Probably a week or so later, it came up. It happened.
In just the past 16 months, Lynch and his fellow Upper Darby police officers have used Narcan 86 times to revive overdose victims. 74 times it did the trick.
That's frightening.
Remember this video? More than 600,000 people have watched it on various internet sites since it was released back in January. It shows 25-year-old Michael Meany of Delaware County shooting heroin aboard a crowded SEPTA bus. Moments later, Meany collapses unconscious onto the floor of the moving vehicle. Upper Darby police are first on the scene, and there's that little red box. Use the nasal Narcan to revive Meany. He was later charged with drug possession in the hopes of getting him into treatment.
People that normally would not commit crimes are compelled to commit crimes by the hold that this drug has on them.
Upper Darby police officials say Narcan has turned their officers into a hybrid of cop and EMT.
We're interested in saving lives, and this is probably one of the more dramatic ways that we can do that.
Captain Thomas Johnson says his officers are enthusiastic about how Narcan has expanded their duties, or maybe more accurately, expanded their opportunities.
We kidded, we're worried that there's going to be two police cars crashing into each other, trying to get to the person that they can revive, because there's an incredible amount of satisfaction when you can save a life.
We talked at length with Officer Lynch as he patrolled Upper Darby on a recent afternoon. He has several Narcan saves to his credit, but says back from the dead victims aren't always grateful.
It's neat to see it, you know, at that point, but my first thing right after that is this person going to be combative? Is he going to want to assault me?
Yeah, so warning. When people utilize these drugs and they're brought out of their high, most of them have the experience of knowing that it was from Narcan, and they get very aggressive towards anyone around them. So be cautious and wary of that. That was another reason why I took care of that situation the way I did that time.
Or anyone else?
There's a bigger problem. Cops with Narcan can save a drug user for the moment, but many addicts cannot kick the habit. In April of last year, for example, Lynch saved an overdose victim with Narcan, a 40-year-old man.
He started coming around, and you know, his girlfriend thanked us for helping him, you know, come back and bring him back to life. But he told me as he was getting loaded on the ambulance that he had just got out of rehab, you know, a week prior.
4 days later, that man OD'd again. This time, Narcan.
Right, this time Narcan didn't help him. But listen, this is the thing, guys, and I want you to pay close attention, okay? This situation is not something that is going to go away easily. It's going to take education. It's going to take commitment and hard work from everyone involved, okay? That video that you just watched is 7 years old, over 7 years old. Okay, so they were the first ones in the country to do it. All right, there's one other clip I want to show you guys because this is the most important thing that I can show you concerning this issue. Okay, because there is options.
Before you begin, you want to survey the scene for things that can make the scene unsafe. If you're outside of a building, that could be traffic, it could be an active stabber, active shooter incident. If the scene is not safe, you will not approach. You will go ahead and call 911 from a safe distance. However, in our instance, we're surveying the scene and everything is safe. Now we need to check for responsiveness. So we're going to go to the victim's shoulder and we're going to say, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? We're going to tap and we're going to shout. We're just not going to shout because the person could be deaf. And I really want to try to stimulate this person because I don't want to be compressing on their chest if they don't need it. So I'm tapping and I'm shouting and the person is non-responsive. At this point, if you're in the hospital, you can go ahead and press the code button. If you're outside of a hospital system, you're going to go ahead and call 911. 911 is going to be asking you, what's the emergency? You have a person who's not responsive. That doesn't mean that they're dead. If someone's blood sugar is low, if they've overdosed on drugs, they would be non-responsive, but you'd still see chest rise and fall. Or if you're a healthcare professional, you'd still be able to feel a pulse. And so in our instance for CPR, we're feeling for the pulse with our index and our middle finger. We're feeling on the carotid artery on the side nearest us, and we're watching for chest rise and fall. If you're old school, yes, you're putting your ear to their face, but I promise you, that's not really necessary right now. All right, so 2 fingers, carotid pulse, licking for chest rise and fall, 10 seconds max. That's right, you get 10 seconds to decide whether or not you need to render aid. There's a breath that's called an agonal breath. It's more like a gasp. If there are no signs of life and the person lets out air, you are to assume that this person's in cardiac arrest because an agonal breath is a precursor to cardiac arrest. And so now one's on the phone, I'm telling them that there's no breathing, there's no pulse. They're going to ask, do I have an AED? And in our case, we have our trainer here. So yes, we have an AED. We're going to start high quality CPR. And it now begins with chest compressions. Whenever you think of ABC, airway, breathing, circulation, you want to focus on the airway as long as the person still have a pulse. But once your victim is pulseless, our job is to focus on high quality chest compressions. We need to circulate that oxygenated blood to the brain. Whenever someone's heart stops, the oxygen doesn't leave their system. It's still there, it's just not moving. They have residual oxygen. So your goal is to start those chest compressions quickly. The new priority is CAB, circulation, airway, and then breathing. If you think about 10 years ago, the American Heart Association came out with guidelines which said that you can just do hands-only CPR, which means that you wouldn't have to put your mouth on the victim's mouth. Whenever the advanced professionals arrive, they're usually going to come with equipment and then they can take over the breath. But for our purposes today, I do have a pocket mask with a one-way valve, and we're going to use this to simulate our breaths. So here we go. As far as our chest compressions are concerned, whenever you're compressing on the chest, what I like to say is don't compress on the throat and don't press on the very end of the breastbone. That's the xiphoid process. Pretend the victim has a perfect nipple line.
I do want to say that if you're going to do the sternum rub, right at the center point where, put my arrow on there so you guys can see, right here at the center point here where the breasts come together, okay, and that center region right there, you'll feel there's a little notch in there. That's the sternum. Okay, you got to take your knuckles like that woman showed in that video, and you got to rub your knuckles into that sternum area, and usually it brings them too. If you're not, if it doesn't, do it a little harder, like, because maybe you're not doing it hard enough. So yeah, there's that. So
and you're going to place the heel of your hand in the center of their chest. Yes, the chest should be exposed. And men, if you feel uncomfortable exposing a woman's chest, the Good Samaritan law is going to protect you if you are rendering aid. If you still feel uncomfortable and you have 911 on the phone, you've called for help, we want you to start those chest compressions on top of clothing. But if you do real...
I also want to mention that the Good Samaritan laws, there are laws in the state of Pennsylvania. Check the local laws in your area, wherever you are, because they vary. Unfortunately, people decide what is right and what is wrong, depending on what state you're in, or what county or city you're in, or what country you're in. I mean, you can't just have right and you can't just have wrong. You have all these gray areas because of man's law that he created. Okay, so be careful of that. The other thing I want to point out is most areas also have protections against anyone if they're in possession of drugs, or they themselves are using, or they are with somebody that overdoses and you call the police. Normally, you are under protection of not being prosecuted for possession or being under the influence.
And you're really trying to save this person's life, the reason why we expose the chest is in preparation for the AED. And so we do want you to do something. And there is a healthy fear of, maybe lawsuit or litigation because you exposed a woman's chest. But that fear, I hope to negate that today and to decrease it, because we need for you to save a woman's life the same way you save a man's life. Hand placement, center of the chest. You would then take your shoulders, and your shoulders should be aligned with your hands. You're going to press straight down. Lock your elbows. When you compress deeply enough, which is 2 inches, for our mannequins, you're going to hear a click. A human, you're going to feel resistance, and that resistance is a rib, and unfortunately, or the breastbone. We may have to sacrifice this breastbone right now in order to get to the heart. That's the body's natural protective mechanism. We have the rib cage and the sternum there for a reason. However, if I'm trying to save someone's life and trying to compress on their heart in order to circulate blood, I may have to go ahead and press deeply. And depend on the size of the person, okay? We said 2 inches, but if the side view of that person's chest is larger because they're obese, you have to bring that chest in 1/3 of the way. So depending on the size of the person, the more you may have to compress. But then we have an average size person here, we're going to compress 2 inches. 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to do 30 compressions. After 30 compressions, we're then going to utilize our pocket mask, which is more like a teardrop shape. The angle of the mask goes over the victim's nose. We're going to press, and then we're going to open up the airway with a head tilt chin lift technique. So let's repeat that. Pocket mask, angle portion, bridge of the nose, press, tilt, and now you're going to give a breath. Repeat it and follow it by a second breath. So after 30 compressions, you give 2 breaths. Each breath should last about 1 second. What you don't want to do is hyperinflate the chest by giving too much air, because if you give a really big breath, you can actually inflate their stomach, and of course the victim would vomit, and we don't want that happening. So now I'm going to repeat this process, 30 compressions followed by 2 breaths, and now I'll continue doing this until help arrives, until I'm exhausted, or until the AED arrives to the scene. So let's do a couple of cycles first, and then we'll utilize our AED. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.